Hey everyone, I am Alex from AA Studios, and my wife and I just got back from filming our friend's wedding out in Chicago. We actually got to do both photo and video for them. And this is all the gear that we took to their wedding. In total, I think it's about 14 bags or so. And surprisingly, this all does fit in our smaller vehicle. But I wanted to go through and share all of the gear that we bring with us to our weddings for those of you that want to know or are looking into getting into doing weddings. Weddings are definitely difficult and definitely expensive. And for those of you who are just getting started, this may look very daunting and expensive. There's definitely cheaper options out there as you're getting started. And for those of you wondering, my wife has been doing photo for about 6 years, and I started doing video about 3 years ago now. We have basically grown to this point. We both also worked full-time jobs for the first few years. We have now gone down part-time, but we both worked those jobs so that we could pay the bills and continue to use the money from the business to continue to grow the business. And this is basically where we're at as of summer of 2024. So with all that said, let's go ahead and start going through all these backpacks and suitcases. So for starters, this is my low pro suitcase. This one stays in my car. I actually never take this one out. This one holds everything that I'm going to put on me. Starting off, we have my DJI RS3 gimbal. And then my main camera is an A7S III with the Tamron 28-75. And I have the focus motor as well as the battery and tripod legs for it. I also have this small rig strap that I like to use. It actually plugs right into the bottom. Makes it a lot easier when you're carrying the gimbal around all day. I have my dump pouch. I keep the things I need to clean my lenses in here. I'll throw lens caps in here, anything else that I just need to put away really quick. And then I also keep newer toolkit with me. Works really well. This is actually something new I've been doing. This is a magnetic necklace paired with a Hero 5 Session. I also have an anchor battery here so I can plug in, and this gives me like behind the scenes so I can share with you guys. I also have some cables in here. This one's for the gimbal to control that focus motor. And then I also have a Rode microphone. Generally speaking, don't use it because I pretty much have my camera on a gimbal all the time, and this just doesn't work well with the gimbal, but I keep it in here just in case I feel I need it. For the next bag, I have my Low Pro 450 backpack. On the outside here, it's a removable pouch that holds all my cables for my F3 and F6 audio recorders. Above that, I have two pouches. One I just use usually for water and for a lint roller. The other one I usually use for any snacks or medications I might need. And then on one side, I have the Bowling P1 Lite. And on the other side, I have the Aperture MT Pro. Awesome little tube light. This also has some pouches right here, and I generally speaking just keep some extra Sony batteries in these. Opening the backpack up, here on top I hold little things. I have electrical tape, I have extra SD cards, extra lens caps, more SD cards, extra base plates, things of that nature. Moving down to the bottom, top, I have my drone. I currently use the DJI Mavic Air 2S triple tech tablet for it. I usually carry two batteries. I usually have one in the drone and one off to the side here, but they're currently charging. Here I have two Tentacle Track E's, great little microphones, and definitely worth it if you're looking to also use timecode, although there are cheaper options out there. I also have the thigh straps to hold those on, and Rycoat stickies. Like I said, I have two, one for the groom and one for the bride. The one I use for the groom I'm actually currently using right now. Next, I have an extra gimbal battery. I usually end up going through two because I actually use my gimbal pretty much all day. Next to that, I have this little eyeglass case. These hold these little Sony microphones. These things are awesome for backups. I currently have 4 of them. I will put them on the officiant. I'll put them on microphones. I'll sometimes put it on the father or the bride during first look or when he's walking her down the aisle. And then I have these little Velcros that these can fit into. I have a few different sizes just depending on what kind of microphone I'm putting them on. I made my own, but you can find these on Etsy. Next to that, I have an extra GoPro just in case the other GoPro I have has some issues. Further behind the scenes, I have a backup, the Zoom H1N, This was the first audio recorder I had. I don't use it too much anymore. I pretty much only use this if I'm going to be doing like a live band who's not plugged into any type of audio system. Next up is the Zoom F3 recorder. Fantastic little recorder. Does 32-bit float. The only downside is the battery situation. I put an Anchor battery on here to make it last all day, but even then I've had some issues where it just doesn't run and it just dies. But still great to have as either as a backup, or I've had situations where I've had like live bands and DJs, so I can plug into both, no problem. But I pretty much take this everywhere with me now. Next up is the F6. Fantastic recorder, pretty expensive, but it gets rid of that battery issue I had with the other one. It takes these NPF batteries, lasts all day, I don't have to worry about it, and this also does 32-bit float. Worth the price of it. And then I've actually mounted this little GoPro mount, and I have a GoPro grip which you can put this on, and this allows you to grip this to any table or anything like that, so that way you don't have to worry about the DJ accidentally bumping your very expensive audio recorder onto the ground. And then I also have a little headphones here just so I can check my audio. Next up I have these little walkie-talkies. Now I don't use these too much anymore. We have since switched to some Hollyland headphones, but these are still great for situations where the Hollyland just doesn't have the range. Sometimes in buildings and there's a lot of cement, or I live in Michigan, so we'll have weddings where you literally have to take a tractor or a golf cart to some woods, and the Hollyland headphones just don't have the range for that, and that's where these still come in handy. I have various batteries. I have some small NPF as far as the large NPF. This large NPF goes over this camera, which I'll go over in a minute. And then these are extra batteries I use for my Axon Cine i2s, which I will also get into in a moment. Next compartment over is ND filters. I pretty much only use these if I'm doing a wedding outdoors when it's really sunny, but I have all those here. And then I have multiple Sony batteries here. I actually number all my batteries, and I basically keep them up like this when they're charged, and then I will put the sticker down when they're empty, so that way throughout the day I know which batteries still have charge and which ones don't. I usually bring about 5 batteries per camera for a full day. It's definitely, I could probably get away with 3 or 4, but 5 just allows me to do a fresh battery before ceremony and a fresh battery before reception, so I don't have to worry about trying to change a battery in the middle of an important moment. Next up is my Sony 16-35 f4 lens. And I use this for getting those establishing shots of the ceremony or reception area, and I usually use this on the dance floor as well. And then lastly, I have my Sony a6400. Right now it's combined with the Sigma 30mm lens, and then I have a cage as well as a bracket and a small rig battery to take my MPF battery, so this lasts all day. And this I usually use as my safety angles during ceremony and reception, and I will occasionally switch over to this wide angle lens, just depending on how it is set up. And I almost forgot to go over this, but I also carry some extra battery banks with me. I usually use Anchor. I'm just using it currently right now to charge my phone. Great thing to have to charge your phone or charge GoPros throughout the day. All right, on to the next suitcase. This is a ThinkTake light stand. I think it's a C-stand suitcase. I'm not sure exactly which one it's called, but this holds basically light stands and tripods. Generally speaking, we don't bring a softbox wedding days, but we did this time. It also holds a diffuser for one of my lights, which I'll get to in a moment. But I have a little diffuser here with this little cover. Then I have some light stands here. So this one is the Cheetah light stand. And I also have a flashpoint light stand as well. These are the quick light stands, so when you press the bottom, they just open up automatically. Really great to have. Then we have 2 newer light stands. These are the ones my wife uses for her flashes. They have the Godox tops on them. We have these little sleeves that we put onto our light stands. Really helps blend in with that wedding vibe and not have black poles or silver poles all around the venue. Makes it look a lot nicer. And here we have our umbrella. My wife uses this for her flash for group shots during family portraits. We have a little mini tripod here. I usually use this for the H1N. Next one up is a Manfrotto light stand. This thing's very compact and small. Really love this thing. I currently use this for Aperture MT Pro light I talked about earlier. Kind of use this as a light that I can use throughout the reception to light up. Usually end up being around the cake area because usually it's in a corner somewhere. and so I can get some light in that corner. Up next, I have a couple other tripods. I have this mini tripod here. I will put a gimbal with a camera or just a camera on top of this. Use this during ceremony receptions, and I'll point it at the crowd so I can get some like reactions of the crowd when I have the opportunity to do so. And then I also have a gorilla pod, kind of the same thing. Sometimes I'll have situations where I just can't put a tripod just because there's just not the space or anything like that, and that's when I will use this. Get the angle of either a safety angle in the back or of the audience. All right, next we have this Godox suitcase. Honestly, I hate the suitcase. It's very cheap, gets the job done, but the wheels on this thing are so small that it's a pain in the butt to carry anything. If you're looking for something cheap, it'll get the job done, but if you can afford one of those think tank suitcases, they're worth every penny. So up top here, you can see all up here, I have a bunch of different rain covers for situations where it might rain. Some of them are for just cameras. Some of them are think tank ones that can fit over a gimbal. Keep some zip ties in here just in case I ever need any. Some wrist braces. Occasionally have some issues with my wrist. Luckily, I haven't had issues this year. Extra tripod for my gimbal. Now moving on to the tripods themselves. First up, we have some small rig tripods. I have a total of 3 of them in here. Small rig is probably the cheapest tripod that I would trust with my expensive cameras. There are cheaper options out there, but you really risk potentially breaking your cameras with those cheaper tripods. These do a great job. The video head themselves are kind of cheap. I wouldn't recommend if you actually plan on using it. I would recommend upgrading it. I have a couple Manfrotto video playheads that I use for situations where I need them, but these are the 3 tripods that I use. I also use this extended plate with 2 playheads on it. I will use this in situations where I have like a small ceremony or a small reception area where I can't place all 3 tripods and I only can do 2. That way I can have a zoomed in angle and a wide angle all together in one location and just basically save some space so that guests can still walk around. Lastly, I have this little tiny tripod. I will usually grab this only during like first look and I'm filming by myself. If I have a second shooter, I usually don't bring this with me, but if I have a first look, I can place this one facing the bride while I get the father's reaction or the groom's reaction during that first look. But this is just something I can throw and carry with me as I'm on to the first look location. In this bag, I have all my lens hoods for my cameras. I generally speaking don't use lens hoods, but if it ever rains, it's a good way to keep the rain off of your lens, and I compare it with those rain covers. And then lastly here, I've got these 3 tripod covers, kind of like those light stand covers. They cover the tripod and they really help blend in with that wedding look, and you don't have those tripods just kind of ruining the wedding, in my opinion. So next up are my sandbags, or well, gravel bags. When I first started, I used sand, but I don't know if you can see, but yeah, there's definitely a lot of dust coming out of there. I've since switched over to pea gravel that I actually rinsed and cleaned before. Hey, Katie. Before putting them in these bags. I have a total of, I believe, 5 currently. I don't always use sandbags. I try to when I can, especially when they're outdoors and outdoor ceremonies, but sandbags are definitely something you should always bring with you and use in the situations you think that you need them. All right, next we got a few more tripods here. I have a little strap. I think I just bought this at a pawn shop to help hold them together. And then I have another small rig tripod. And then I also have a Manfrotto tripod. I don't remember the exact model, but I actually bought this on Facebook Marketplace. And it works well. It's not as tall as these small rigs, but it's definitely a lot sturdier. And then I have 2 more of those covers. So the reason I have so many tripods is because in situations where I have the ceremony and reception all in one place, I can set up all my tripods before the ceremony. And that way after the ceremony, during the family portraits, I can move all my cameras from one tripod to the next instead of trying to move all these tripods. Generally speaking, there's just a lot of crowds and a lot of people, and trying to carry those tripods through a large crowd of people is difficult. But when I can just grab the cameras and just move the cameras, hey buddy, you're okay. It just makes it a lot easier. I currently only have 5 tripods, looking to add 1 more to the collection so that I can, just move the cameras. But if you have the space and you have the budget, being able to do that makes things a lot easier during the wedding day. Next, I have this Pure Outdoor hard case that I use for my current lighting gear. I currently use an Aperture 60X as well as an Amaron 60X. And I have 2 pouches that I use. I have a bunch of MPF batteries. I usually bring 6 with me. 2 per light usually gets me through the entire day, but I bring an extra 2 just in case. These are fantastic lights. Really like them. The only downside, the only thing I don't like is the app. It takes a little while to load. But other than that, they're great. I'm hoping to eventually get 2 more of these. Here is the last suitcase for video. This is a Think Tank. I think it's the Video Manager 44. I originally bought this because this can go onto an airplane. I've only ever used it once when we went to Hawaii. I didn't have to pay extra for an oversized bag, but they did put it in the oversized bag compartments. Up top, I just have various tools and extra plates, some focus motor rings, base plates. I have my cables for my H1N that I don't use very often. Phone holder for tripods. Now, I don't live stream, but if I ever have a family member that asks if they can live stream, I will usually put up a light stand or a tripod and they can put their phone on it and I place it in the corner. Then that way they can live stream with a setup that they don't have to worry about and they're kind of out of my way. Up top here, I have a few different accessories. I got my gimbal tripod. I've got some gimbal batteries here. I got some phone holders, which I'll go through over in just a moment. And then I have some NPF batteries as well as some small rig V-mount batteries that I use to power these, which I'm about to go over. So first, let's kind of go over the kind of camera setup I have going on here. This is kind of a unique setup. I don't think I've seen anybody else kind of set these up this way, but I have 2 of these. Similarly set up, just different kind of cameras and stuff like that. But the first one here is an A6600. I've run this with a Tamron 70-180, and then this has a Axon Cine i2 motor to control the zoom, as well as a motor to control the focus. This is the Tilta Nucleus Nano, and then I also have the Tilta Bluetooth controller. The second one is very similar in setup, but I run the A7 IV, also with the Tamron 70-180, also has the Axon Cine i2, focus motor, or zoom motor, as well as a focus motor, and then it has the RS3 Pro as well as the Tilta control handle. And then all of that is paired with this right here. So I actually take these and I put one phone mount I put right onto this handle, and then the other phone mount I put on the other side of the gimbal. This is everything I have. So this is the Tilta Nucleus controller. I don't know if you can see that. And then I have another smaller controller right on the top there. And then here is the Nucleus Nano 2. I really like this one. This allows you to control recording, ISO, shutter speed, white balance, all of that, and focus. And this is the version 1. It only allows you to control focus. I eventually want to upgrade this one to this version 2, as well as upgrade that 6600 to a camera that's compatible with this. But this allows me to have basically be able to control 3 cameras all at once. And I do that during the ceremony and reception. Definitely difficult to do, but it allows me to basically readjust all my cameras on the fly as things go and not have to walk over and adjust the cameras. I've never really seen anybody set this up like this, so if you want more information, I can make a separate video of exactly how I have this set up. But great option if you're solo shooting. And then lastly, in this suitcase, we have the Hollyland headsets. These are the non-pro version. I highly recommend going with the pro version if you have the budget for it. We wanted to save some money and we went with the non-pros, and because we didn't think we needed them, to be honest. But you spend so much time doing the receptions and loud music, or like even when you're in the bridal suite getting ready and they have music playing, it's so difficult to hear each other just because there's just so much noise. So definitely recommend going the pro version if you can afford them. But these are still awesome. They make great for communicating to each other and will make you and your second shooter, or even if you're using it with a photographer, they make it a great way of communicating with them so that you can get the best results throughout the day. We have this case for our lay flats, various ribbons, feathers, backdrops, covers, ring cases, things of that nature. Definitely elevates your lay flats for when you're doing like invitations, ring shots. Now moving on to our photography stuff. This is my wife's photography backpack. It is the Lowepro 350. I believe it's version 2. She has some dump pouches out here to carry snacks, water, medication, things of that nature. This is to hold a speaker. We generally don't take it during weddings, but option is there. Up top, just like the other one, she has extra batteries for her triggers, extra lens caps. As far as camera goes, she uses two A7 IIIs. She, generally speaking, uses the 28-75, and then she also has the Tamron 50-400 on here. When she's doing photo only, she also uses some of the other lenses we have, such as that 70-180, but because we're doing photo and video, I kind of took those lenses, so these are the two that she uses. She has 3 different triggers here, but she can put those on, and these are notorious for breaking. That's why she has so many. Some extra Sony batteries. She has the Godox V1 flash, along with her bounce card, and an 8200, which is her kind of go-to flash for weddings. The next backpack she brings is just a random backpack that we've just had for years. So in here she carries her straps. First one here is a cotton carrier strap, and then we also combine that with some leather straps. So she has a dual strap and a single strap, just depending on what she needs. Really like this one. I'll put in the description where we got this because I don't remember off the top of my head, but they will custom engrave on your logo onto this, which is really awesome. And then she carries 2 more 8200s, 8200 Pros. And then as you can see, we have these grips on there, the same grips I used for the F6, but this allows us to put these on the bottom of the light stands. And then we have these extensions that plug in to the light, and that allows you to put this one on the bottom, this one on top, and she can use the same exact light stands that I used. That way, instead of having a light stand up for each light, this allows us to basically put 2 lights on 1 light stand, so we can have less tripods and light stands out on the floor, just to make things look a little cleaner. Next bag she has also a little thumb patch that she uses with our logo on it. She uses this again for lens caps, extra batteries, things of that nature. Opening it up, this is a phone mount that goes right on top of your camera for some behind the scenes. She has some atmosphere in a can, her radio, some crystals that she uses to put in front of the camera to get some unique shots, extra batteries for her flashes, prism, again, to get some unique shots, gels that she can use for her flashes, another bounce card, extra SD cards just in case something happens. And then she has a Polaroid printer. In situations where we have the time, we like to print a portrait photo of the couple during the dinner and then give it to them, just so they have something to take home at the end of the night. And then the last backpack we have here is an Amazon backpack, and this carries all of our charging things. This is actually a lock for our hotel rooms. Pretty cheap. It gives you kind of that peace of mind because people see you bringing stuff into your hotel room. You don't want people trying to break in while you're sleeping. And then just various, I know it's kind of messy, but I have various charging cables. I have a surge protector with some USB ports on it, USB splitter, things to charge the batteries for those Tilta Nucleus Nanos, Sony battery chargers, GoPro chargers, drone charger, NPF charger with various cables for them. For weddings that are local, I generally don't bring this, but because this was a wedding in Chicago, we were there for 3 days, I decided to bring chargers just in case I needed them. We did a little bit of filming the day before, so I was just kind of worried about that. But so that is everything that we bring with us to weddings for photo and video as of summer 2024, as I mentioned. I hope this video was helpful for those who were looking into getting into weddings or wanted to know more about what goes into the wedding gear side of things. I know what I went over through was a lot of stuff, a lot of gear. I know it looks very expensive, which it is. For those of you starting out, there are definitely cheaper options out there to get started. If you're interested, I can make a video of what I think you could get starting out. But, we didn't get this gear overnight. This is something that's been, like I said, my wife's been doing this for 6 years. I've been doing it for 3. We've been slowly growing our business, and this is the gear that we have right now. Hopefully we continue to grow. Hopefully you continue to grow. If you want to know any more information or you want to have any questions, go ahead and reach out. Let me know if there's any other videos that you would like me to make. I feel like I am now to a point in my career where I can really help people and guide them to start getting started and help them with their gear and help them with trying to make videos of their own. So once again, I hope this video was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.